Here's another Photoshop video. I am currently in AutoCAD, and what I'm going to do is print this layout of this floor plan to PDF, and then we will bring that PDF into Photoshop. In class, I went from AutoCAD to PDF, and then I opened Acrobat to open the PDF, and I exported it to a JPEG. That's another way to do it, but I'm going to show you the way to bring in the PDF directly into Photoshop as well. Alright, so I am just going to print this layout. Everything looks a little different on this, but because I'm using a Mac, but it's essentially exactly the same. You're going to find your buttons pretty much in the same place. So I'm going to go ahead and hit print. Okay, all these settings look good to me, so I'm going to say save as PDF here, and I'll just put that onto my desktop. Call it PShop floor plan, and save. Okay. Now I'm going to go into Photoshop. So here's Photoshop. As you can see, I have nothing open. I have no layers, nothing going on. So I'm going to do File, Open, and I'm going to find that PDF, and I'm going to hit Open. So right away, it found the PDF. So if the PDF had multiple pages, you could select a page here. And I only have one page, so I'm just picking the first page. The other thing I want to check out is the image size. So I'm going to go to Inches. Now notice the size of the image. Let's see if I can make this bigger. I don't think I can. There we go. The size of the image is exactly the size of the printed floor plan. So that's why you're seeing it only as 8.5 and the height of 6.5, even though I printed it on 11 by 17. So I'm just going to change these to 17 and 11 and just hit OK. Well, that's not exactly what I wanted. Let me tell you why. Because it stretched out my background for this to be 17 and 11, and that's not what I want. So I am going to close that, and I'm going to open that PDF again. All right, pages. Okay, we're on that first page. Image size. All right, let's just leave it where it is. Okay, I don't want to change anything in here. Let's just bring it in as it is. Okay, and I'm going to hit OK. Now what I want to do now is go up to Image, Canvas Size, and change it here. 17, 11, hit OK. I'll do Control 0. And there is my floor plan, exactly the same size on the layout of my CAD. And I'll open CAD, which looks about correct to me. The reason why I want to make sure it's the same size as it is in CAD, because say for example you wanted to bring this floor plan into Photoshop, but you want it to be exactly the same scale on 11 by 17. So the first way I did it made it bigger, so then it wouldn't be the same scale. This way that I just did it keeps exactly the same size as it is on the print. I just changed my canvas to be 11 by 17. Okay, so we're seeing the checkerboard there, right? And that of course means I have a transparent background, so that's like the bottom of the layer pile, let's put it that way. And I have one layer in here, and I'm going to change its name to floor plan. Okay, I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to call it background, and I'm going to put that beneath my floor plan layer. I'm going to have it a color of white, and I'm going to pick the paint bucket tool, which might be under the gradient tool. So you can right click on these, or you can left click and hold down to grab the one you want. I just want paint bucket tool, not 3D material drop tool, just paint bucket. I'm on the background layer. I'm going to paint bucket. There we go. So the whole background's white. Got my floor plan above it. Okay, so if you changed it to a JPEG in Acrobat before you brought it in, the white background and your floor plan would be on one layer. Right now I have them split into two because I brought in the PDF directly. The only added step with bringing in the PDF directly was you have to change the canvas size. Okay. Let's add some fills to this floor plan cut. Okay. So I'm going to go up to layers and make a new layer. And let's call it cut fill. Okay, and I'll put that underneath my floor plan layer. That would be good. Now I'm going to go to my floor plan layer, and then I'm going to go up to my toolbar, and I'm going to choose the fourth button down, and what I want in there is the magic wand tool. So it should be in the 1, 2, 3, fourth button down, magic wand tool. I'm in the floor plan layer because I'm going to use that layer to select my spaces. Now I can see right away that I'm on additive layer selection, so I can make more than one selection. And now I'm going to switch to the layer of cut fill. I'm going to go into my colors here and let's see what I can find. Okay, maybe a... Well, now's the time to get picky. Okay, so I'll pick this like blue color. I'll hit OK. Okay, so there it is in blue. Now, if yours came in here as gray, you simply need to go up to Image Mode and change it from grayscale to a color file. Okay, I'll leave that up there. So Image Mode, RGB color. I think you can only see mode, but above this is image. Okay. So then I'll do my paint bucket tool here. I'm on my cut fill layer and I'm just gonna click. There we go. I've got a nice fill in there. Now I can hit Control D to deselect, or in this case, I just happen to be in the habit of always clicking the rectangle tool and then clicking just anywhere in space. If it was still on the additive tool, it wouldn't have deselected because it would have assumed I'm trying to select again. So you can just hit Control D. That's your best bet. All right, this cut fill's a little dark. I'm going to click on it and I'm just going to turn the opacity down a little bit. Okay, maybe something like that. That looks pretty good. Okay, so let's now add a pattern to this file. So this is something else we did in class. So we just did, in this case, we just did a simple selection. We added some color on its own layer. Very nice. Now what I want to do is add a pattern. So I might want to add a floor texture down here. I might want to add some information on the outside as well. So I'm going to go to the World Wide Web here. All right, so let me go to a new page, and I'm going to go to architectures.org. Architectures.org. It's also on the Teams channel. You can find that. All right, so let's take a look here. I'm going to do a concrete floor texture. And I'm going to do one of these cool Flemish. That looks good. Let's do a Flemish sort of pattern here. That looks cool. Looks cool and expensive. All right, let's do download JPEG. Do you want to allow downloads? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so that went into my downloads folder. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open that file in Photoshop. So wherever that's saved for you. Here's mine. Here it is, this nice concrete texture. It's got a background layer which is locked, so I'm going to go ahead and unlock that. Now I just want to show you that yes, I could go into my adjustments over here and make adjustment layers. I can do whatever I want to this image before I make it a pattern that can be applied in my floor plan file. Okay, now if I make it an adjustment layer like this, I'm just going to hit levels over here, right? Everything below this is going to get affected, right? Okay, so we can do it that way. I'm going to hit delete on that layer, or I can just simply click on the layer and I can go to image adjustments levels. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and mess with this a little bit. I'm going to brighten it up. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. Okay, notice I don't have an adjustment layer down here, but I did affect the levels. That means I've edited the original. Okay, I don't have an adjustment layer. I've edited the original. I'm fine with that. I'm just going to use this how it looks right now, and I'm not going to worry about that too much about affecting the original. Okay, so let's set this as a pattern. So I'm going to go up to Edit, Define Pattern, and I'll call this, I'm going to just delete some of this. I'm going to do that. And, oh, try harder. I'm going to do this. Actually, I'll get rid of that too. Okay, and I'll hit OK. All right, so now I have it as a texture in Photoshop. Now I'm going to go back to my floor plan file, and I can still see up here it's a PDF because I haven't saved it yet. So I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to save it on my computer, on the desktop here. PShop floor plan, that's fine. Okay, so it's a PSD file. All right, so now I don't need this other file anymore. I'm just going to close it, and I'm not going to save it. Okay, now what we need to do is put a color or a color fill where we want that pattern to exist. You might be hearing my daughter scream upstairs. I apologize, but she's very demanding and upset. Okay, so let's make a new fill on where we want this concrete pattern to exist. It does not matter what that fill is. It could be a white color fill. It could be hot pink. Okay, so let's go and make a new layer. And I'll call this one Concrete Floor Fill. All right, so now I'm going to go to my floor plan layer so I can use it as a selection tool. And I'm going to go up to my magic wand again. And I'm going to click in the middle of this thing because I want that concrete texture to live on that floor. So I'm going to click right there. So it filled up this whole place with a selection. I'm going to go over to my layers and click on Concrete Floor Fill. And then I'm just going to find a weird color just to prove this point to you. Nice fuchsia, if that's what it is. I'm going to hit OK. And I'll go to my Paint Bucket tool. Remember, you can hold it down with your left click or right click. And I am just going to click and paint that area that I want to be that pattern. And then Control D or Command D. Okay, so let's apply that pattern to this pink shape. So I'm going to go over to my layer here, and I'm going to double click. And here it is. This whole awesome window opens up called Layer Style. So I can do a bunch of things in here, but I'm only concerned with pattern overlay right here. So I'm going to click on that layer. Now, I'm going to make sure that it's checked and I have it selected. Okay, there's a chance you could still stay up here, but you see pattern overlay is still selected. So you're like, yeah, I see a pattern got applied in here, but what the heck? It's not the one I wanted. So you have to click on that layer, I guess you will too. So pattern overlay, I'm going to click in pattern here, and I'm going to scroll down to my concrete one that I've added through that other file. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and look at some of these settings in here. So scale's pretty huge, so I'm going to put that at 100. That looks kind of cool. And maybe you could do 45 for that angle, or you can just do 0. That looks nice. So some sort of concrete pattern there, and I'm going to hit, actually, well, you can play with the opacity here, but then it's going to show your color. So this is actually kind of cool because if I made that color like black or something, if I tone down the opacity, I could bring in some of that blackness, but I'm just going to leave it at 100 and hit OK. Now here it is in my layers. I can see the effects that I have on this layer are the pattern overlay. If I hit the little eyeball next to the effects, then I'm back to my pink shape. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually add a little concrete walk here, and I'm going to put it all on that same layer, and it will get the same fill. So I'm going to use my magnifying glass here, and I'm just going to zoom in this area. If you tried to make a window there and it just did this weird zoom thing, what you want to do is click on your magnifying glass, then uncheck scrubby zoom. I do not like that. I'm just going to click right like that. I want to tell it where to go. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit more complicated because we have to make our selection because we don't even have a concrete path here to select with line work. One method I could use is go back to my Photoshop, draw those lines, and bring it all back in, right? I could bring this line work back in, and then I could delete this floor plan layers line work and put the new one in. But I don't want to do that. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go to my floor plan layer because I can select some things. I'm going to use my magic wand tool, and I'm going to select in here. Oh, that won't work because we have the breaks in the line. See that? It just bleeds out. So I'm going to do Command D or Control D. So we're just going to have to select it ourselves. So I'm going to stay on the concrete floor fill. I'm going to go to the rectangle selection tool, and I'll put it to additive. And I'm going to have my walkway go like from this corner down to there. Okay. And I want to add this little rectangle in here too. So I might zoom in and use my space bar to pan, and I'm going to add this to my selection. There, so it just made that little turn up there. Now I don't want my door selected. So I'm going to click back over on floor plan, and then I'm going to go up to subtractive selection, go to my magic wand tool, and I'm going to click in the door here. Oop, it's on additive. I'm going to make sure it's on subtractive. Click in the door and the door over here. So now what's selected is this area and this area, just not the door. Okay, because I could, of course, deleted that later too, but let's do it this way for now. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, see our selection. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my concrete fill layer, and I'm just going to paint bucket that so it accepts the fill. So I'll go to my paint bucket tool. I'm still on pink. Doesn't even matter what color I'm on. And I'm just going to click in here. Okay, and that same pattern comes out the door now and down. So I'm going to do deselect, so Control D. I'm going to go back to my rectangle selection and go to the singular selection method. See how it ends pretty nice over here? I'm going to just trim this up a little bit like that. I'm just going to hit delete. Okay, and I'm going to trim this up just a little bit. And I'm on the same layer. I'm just giving a little bit of a haircut. So that's the same thing I could have done with the door here. I could have snuck in there. And so let me do Control minus. Now you can see that I've got a nice sidewalk coming out of the house and same texture of the house. So that looks kind of cool. So I could go on and so if I played with the pattern overlay there, I could put it at 45 and the pattern is going outside too. Okay. Also, I could turn the opacity of this whole layer down, not just the pattern, but the whole layer, and I could lighten it up a bit. So here it is at 75, or I could, that looks actually pretty nice right there. We want to suggest the texture, but we don't want to like throw it in somebody's retinas, if that makes sense. Okay. So there we go. So what we did there is took a nice floor plan. We've made some fills on it. We've made some pattern overlays on it. We're just starting to sort of build out this presentation floor plan to show somebody. So if I were to continue on this, I might add more information out here trees, grass, maybe some planters of some kind. I might go back and add some more line work for those things, so I have something to click on and select. And anything else I might be interested in adding. So I'll leave it there on this. And all right, thanks for watching.